So, how many of you guys, did you feel pretty okay with this? Was this stuff you remembered? Right? So, you know our little letters? A, X, minus H, and then plus K. And if you actually listen, not just wrote things down on your video, what goofy little way did I remind you that H is always backwards?
If it's negative H, and you pick it up and positive, right?
Yeah. This guy's always a negative because it's always going to flip it around, right? Did I not make the joke in the video about my name?
No. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Miss Holly is your teacher. Now, let's be honest. Miss Holly is a little backwards. So flipping an H makes sense. That's why I didn't change my name when I got married. That's not the reason. There's many reasons. Hashtag feminism. Okay. But it's just kind of fun. Okay. So, that H there. But what's different about this equation in particular?
It's a whole square. The whole equation is squared.
Hmm?
Whole equation is squared.
The whole equation is squared. That's not my A. That's inside of there. That's technically a B. And B's exist with more than square roots, but we just manipulate them and make them go away because it's easier, and I'm going to show you how to do that because it's more fun. Okay? We're just going to eliminate them. All right? So in this case, does anybody have a guess what the B value would be? I mean the A value would be. I got too excited. Why is it 4 that is 1,000% correct?
Because it's squared to it.
Because you have to square it. Exactly. Does that make sense? So this equation could have been given to you as this. And you would need to move it to this. What would you do to get it from here to here? How would I turn 2x minus 2 into 2 times the quantity of x minus 1? You're factoring it. So if you're given a b value in something that's not a square root, and sometimes when it's a square root, but we'll talk about it, you can factor it out. And then you just have to make sure that you distribute that little 2 there, or 3 there, or absolute value to that number. So this equation is actually 4 times the quantity x minus 1 squared. They're the exact same thing. If you put them in the calculator, they're the exact same thing. Okay? This is when we really get into, manipulating things to make them look the way we want them to look. You know what you do with your parents, even if it's that kind of thing.
So there's no y in this?
Yeah, there's no, so g of x is your y. G of x is your y.
I mean, for the shifting.
Oh, for the shifting, yeah, since there's nothing here, what could I write so I could see it?
Plus 0.
Plus 0, exactly. And I like doing that as well, just because I like having everything nice and lined up. But that just might be my assessment need to have things lined up. Who knows? So what are your A, H, and K values here? 4, positive 1, and 0. If you want to put a negative 1 here, that's fine, as long as you remember to change it for our little POI. Did I call it a POI in your video? Some of them are vertex, right? Some of them are points of inflection. I call them POI because then they're points of interest. That way they're all the same. They are interesting, aren't they? Points of interest. That's what I will refer to them as. That is not an actual math thing. That's just a mythologism. Okay? And your POI is always a coordinate. Okay? What is your coordinate going to be for this guy? It's always HK, so it's 1, 0. Good. So if you like switching it here and knowing it's the same here, that's totally fine. If you like putting negative 1 here and putting a positive 1 here, I don't care. Okay? It's just whatever one makes more sense in your head. As long as this one ends up getting flipped, I'm good with it. So can you plot this beautiful little point for me?
Sure.
I'm hopeful that you can plot me one coordinate. If I start here, where do I go?
Right side.
To the right. That's one. Oh, there it is. There it is. And then remember that first day of class, how we did graphs to know? This is why I was setting you up for it. What do you know the general shape of this graph is?
U.
Yeah, it's a U. Good. And do you remember y equals mx plus b? Your favorite thing in the whole world? Yeah? Do you remember what m is? Slope. you can treat your A like your slope. And your slope ends up actually being your A over your B, but we're always going to force B to be 1. We're forcing B to be 1. So we're going to go from this point up 4 and over 1, but because I know it looks like a U, where else should I go? And over 1 the other way. Good. And that gives me my nice little U. All we're going to do today is practice this. All we're going to do today is practice this stuff. Okay? How do you feel about that? Yeah? So then, can you describe this guy for me? You might see problems where I give you 2 equations or maybe 2 graphs, and you have to describe in words and use that beautiful vocabulary. So what is different, what changed from this equation to this equation? And you can always write down, actually, you know what? You can always write down A, B, H, K and list what they are, and then you can kind of tell me what they are, which is kind of nice. So what's my A for G of X?
Negative value, x of x.
So negative
0. No, 1.
negative 1, good. I asked that for a reason. My B value, we hope for all of these besides square roots, will end up being just 1. How about H? What's my H value for this guy?
Positive 2.
Which one is it? Is it positive 2 or is it 0?
0.
It's 0 because it's inside of here, right, with the H. And then this guy gets a positive 2, right? So if you know that the norms are 1, 1, 0, 0, you can tell me where you need to change and write something.
So what does the C come from? Who teaches this?
Just to keep it consistent with the square root and without the square root, I throw it in here, but it's going to be 1 unless you're dealing with a square root. So you don't have to write that part at all. But it would be in your equation. It would be right there. Okay. We're just going to always force it to be 1 because we can, and make it a little easier. Okay. So these norms are 1, 1, 0, 0. So this is different. So what happened here? Very good. Reflect over X. Woo, there we go. And 1's good, 0's good, 2. What happened here? Shift
Up 2 units.
up 2 units. Perfect. I think that's kind of like a nice standard thing. Whenever I hit these problems, I always write down A, B, H, K and write what happens to them. Yeah? You feel pretty good about that? You ready to crush some practice? Ready, man. Oh, I forgot we're still recording. Well, that'll be fun. Anybody got a good joke for the end of the recording?
2 plus 2 is 5.
2 plus 2 is 5. That's not a joke. That's just wrong.
1984.
Oh, I haven't read that one. We'll put it. Miss Holly, read 1984. Read it. Got it. What does 0 say to 8? Nice. Nice belt. Do you get that joke? It's like if you take a 0 and you put like a belt around it, you pulled it really tight, it would look like an 8. Alright, moving on.